So you've reached midlife, which today can mean anywhere from your late 30s to your early 50s and even beyond, given how long we're living on average. But you get there and the great beast of dissatisfaction rises to haunt you. In some of the Eastern traditions, in theory, this would be the time you embarked on the spiritual path, putting all material things and attachments aside. Most of us don't follow this path anywhere. Instead, we're more likely to get restless and proceed to dispose of our marriages, our careers, and other outwardly manifestations of that dissatisfaction. And usually, we take on new versions of the same marriage and career that drove us to distraction in the first place. Now, the term midlife crisis was coined in 1965 by the psychologist Elliott Jaques in an essay called Death and the Midlife Crisis. Carl Jung wrote about it in The Stages of Life, an essay that is required reading. In that essay, Jung points out that we cannot live in the afternoon of life according to the program of life's morning. For what was great in the morning will be little at evening, and what in the morning was true will at evening have become a lie. And herein lies the heart of the matter. Jung speaks about how the first half of life is like the sun rising. As we develop our capacities in the world, we build a career, a family, a reputation. Now, once the sun begins its descent at the stroke of noon or at midlife, we're asked to begin the inward journey, to look inside for the answers that we once found out there in the world. Now, this isn't easy. Most of us have not been taught to look inside, so it's difficult to know how to even make the journey. Now, one worthy guide is James Hollis. His book, The Middle Passage, is a wonderful exploration of the issues that pop up at this time. As Hollis puts it, the second half of life is not a chronological moment, but a time when a person begins to ask in a radical way, so what's going on here? What is my life about? What are the agencies within me that are making choices for me? Now, these questions require a lot of honesty and courage. It's never easy recognizing or accepting that the life you are living is the one that your parents, partners, or society led you into. In midlife, it is your duty to find out what it is that truly calls out to you as an individual, separate from what anyone else might want for you. Hollis says that what we all need is a good story, and by story, he means images that are consistent with our inner reality. When we build a narrative for our lives that matches those images from our inner selves, we will feel connected, linked, we will feel a confirmation of identity, and when we don't, we suffer. Now, how do we find those inner images? Well, you need to record your dreams, pay attention to what calls out to you in the world, read some poetry or some myths. You can start by reading one of the most important works in the Western canon, Dante's The Divine Comedy, which is the most perfect allegory describing the descent that occurs at this point in life. The famous opening line, "Midway through life's journey, I stumbled into dark wood," is quoted often in books detailing the midlife journey. But what is that dark wood? It looks different for everyone, of course, but there are elements of the journey that apply to all. It is the moment you begin your descent into the unknown and into frightening depths. The promise, if you can withstand the heat, is that you will transform and rise once again into a new level of consciousness. Now, there's another story that tells us what we're meant to do at this time. I speak a lot about the feminine and masculine energies that are in each one of us. Some people, like Jordan Peterson, refer to them as order and chaos. You need to stand in the middle of these two energies to be whole. Too much order and you become rigid and unyielding. Nothing grows in that environment. Creativity emerges from chaos, but too much of that and you will find yourself spinning out of control. The feminine or chaos is that part of us that spurs on creative growth. The masculine provides the form or structure to take that creative inspiration and convert it into something tangible and material. As we get older, we need to investigate the part of us that we don't visit so much so that we can find the spark that will allow us to move forward. There is an ancient Persian tale that speaks to this. Alan Shanahan recounts this in his book, Once Upon a Midlife. It's really good reading if you're interested in the subject. This tale, he tells, is called Stubborn Husband, Stubborn Wife. It tells the story of a bickering middle-aged couple. The wife is angry at the husband for not helping with the chores, and so they make a bet about who can keep quiet the longest. The wife leaves the house knowing that she will not be able to keep quiet for long, and the husband sits outside on a bench and is approached by different people whom he assumes have been sent by his wife to make him talk, and he stubbornly remains quiet even as a barber styles his hair to make him look like a woman, and then a nearsighted old woman mistakenly puts makeup on him. Finally, a beggar arrives and robs him of everything, thinking he is not of sound mind. Throughout all of this, the man refuses to speak, thinking it is his wife who has sent all the people to trick him into speaking and losing the bet. When the wife arrives back home and sees her husband all made up, the house bare, she yells at him, and he realizes finally that they have been robbed. The wife sets out to retrieve their belongings, and she manages to trick the thief into giving them back. She returns home, and the husband quietly picks up the broom and helps with the chores. Unlike the stories that address what must be done in the first half of life, in this one it is the woman who must take action in the world to resolve the problem. The man must learn to connect, to relate better to the people in his life. This provides a roadmap for the second half of life. Those who have not yet developed their masculine energy must learn to take action in the world to become whole. Those who have not yet learned to connect to others must look within to understand the connection to their own inner self and to better build that relational energy associated with the feminine. Those who have stumbled into the second half of our lives know that this is where the journey gets interesting.